Hello there, my name is Colin Newton. I'm an educational psychologist and co-founder of Inclusive Solutions, passionate about inclusion and what it takes. What I've been thinking about today is 10 key questions that never get asked about inclusion. We just never seem to go there. So here are the questions. What do the other children think when one or more of their classmates gets sent to a special school or alternative provision? What are the other children and young people thinking? We never really ask them, do we? Is it that we're not interested in what their views are? My guess would be they're often missing their young person, or kind of wondering about where they've gone, or even anxious about whether they're next. Who's in the lineup, really? Who knows, because we don't ask the question. The second question would be, who's missing children when they get off to special schools? Who's actually missing them? Well, sometimes we don't know them at all, do we? Some of those children in special schools. So maybe they're not missed within their local schools or the school they would have gone to because nobody knew them before. If they were already in the mainstream and they ended up in the special school, they're often missed by the children and the staff that were with that young person before they went there. But I think that's an interesting question, isn't it? Who misses our children who are actually in special provision, not in mainstream provision? Does mainstream school actually work better than special school? Do we really ask that question enough? Because I know for sure, if you look at the international research and the research done in the UK, children do at least as well in mainstream school, if not better, on a number of indices, including academic and social, if they're maintained in mainstream. But people aren't really asking that question very much. We're haunted by the history and the mythology, or just practice. Because these places exist, we need to fill them, or because this place that's called special school exists, maybe we should put this child in if we're going to meet their very special educational needs. But really, based on what? When the research is probably that high, the children's needs are much better met in mainstream. Here's my next question. Should we send children from other cultures to be together for their education? Would we even dream of doing that? I don't think so. And yet that's kind of what we're doing when we segregate children together because they share a disability or they share an issue. Why does mainstream schooling work so well when we are able to hold on to children, when we are able to hold on to children with the most complex needs, and they still show progress? What's working there? And I don't think we're often enough asking and looking closely enough to see what it is around the practice of those adults and children and young people around their inclusion that enables that to work so well. What is it? We need to learn more about that. And how are children making friends with disabled students? How's it actually happening? What's going on there? I mean, it's fascinating, isn't it? And it definitely takes place when disabled young people are present in our mainstream schools. Friendships develop and evolve. I've seen it many, many, many times over my years as a psychologist. But do we often ask enough about how that's happening, or exactly what the components are to enable that to happen? I think it's a really, really interesting question. And of course, we could add to that, well, why are children making friends with children who are so different to them? You know, why would they do that? And yet they do. Why would they do that? That's a very interesting question. And another why question is, why are pupils with the most challenging behaviour often still very accepted by their classmates? I mean, it's sometimes, obviously, if they've caused distress or they've upset them or hurt them, they may not be. But often the bulk of children and young people around a young person, even with the most challenging behaviour, would still be kind of accepting, flexible, tolerant, even creative around that young person, and kind of want to understand them better. Here's another question for you. How can we close all our special schools and alternative provisions and just have mainstream? Just with enough resources of flexibility and creativity to make it work. How could we do that? What would it take? What would it need? And above and beyond just political will and vision, what else would we need? Just how much learning is actually taking place by imitation? You know, by our children and young people just being around together. And just how much we know it. I mean, my view would be it's probably as high as 80% of learning is by imitation. But it would be fantastic to actually analyse that, wouldn't we? If we seriously asked that question and explored it in detail in our schools. And finally, where are the children who should be attending their local mainstream school? Do we actually know? So you take a school A in this very street we're in here now. Where are they? If they're not in their local mainstream school, Who knows where they are? And it's a question we're often not asking. The ones who are actually in alternative provision or in the special schools dotted around the place, who are they and where are they and why are they not with us in our local mainstream school? Why aren't we asking about that? We could be asking about that. So there you are. There's 10 great questions, but we never really ask about inclusion. So thanks for listening today. If you've liked that content, would like some more, you know what to do. Just like and subscribe to this channel. We'll automatically send you videos as they come out. If you want to read more, you might want to take up on one of our self-paced learning training courses or visit our website. Thank you very much for listening. Till we meet again. Thank you.